Trudeau, the truckers, and you. Hi, I'm Brian Pombo. Welcome back to Brian G. Pombo Live. I wanted to talk a little bit about the Canadian Freedom Convoy thing that's going on, just real quick, because it does play back to you and your business. Now, this situation, if you haven't been keeping up with it, there's basically what has been a convoy going on for the past week or so in Canada, truckers all over the country and beyond, going to the capital city, basically shutting it down by flooding the streets, and many more, not just truckers. Many more have come out to also protest. Their main form of protesting against the mandates for the vaccines and so forth there, and all the other what can be termed as government overreach. That's all going on there, and Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister, has made quite a deal about how this cannot continue, that these protests are not legal, they're not right, and he'll do everything in his power to shut it down. Now, just today, and I believe a little bit of yesterday, I originally heard that they were using the banking powers, Trudeau was using the banking powers and so forth, to shut down payments and transactions between many people throughout the country, including those involved in the protest. Do they have the legal right, the quote-unquote constitutional right? It's quite different in Canada for those of you who are more familiar with U.S. law, but do they have the power to be able to do this? Do they have the right? That's one question. Legal, moral, otherwise, that's something else. Do they have the power to do it? Yes, they do, because they're doing it. And this is something that I see coming up more and more and more when it comes to business. The mandates happening, all these other things across the world, in the US, Canada, everywhere else that would be considered a relatively free country, you see a lot of these things occurring. And we can go back and forth about whether it's right or wrong or otherwise, whether there's a constitutional right, a legal precedent, and so forth. That we go on and on and on about that. And I love having those discussions. But right now I want you to keep an eye on just the idea is, do they have the power to be able to do a whole lot of these things? And I think a lot of people would have said 2 or 3 years ago, previous to COVID-19, that no, they can't possibly have the power to do this. But now we're learning otherwise. There are powers in play, one way or the other. Whether you're for it or against it, there are powers being flexed and being shown that they have the ability to do all these things. Now they're talking about ESG scoring, and all these other things are coming up real soon on an international basis, where they will have more and more controls over how money is distributed between people. You can go and look all that stuff up, but it's potentially scary, but it's important for you to understand who has the power. And there is a significant amount of power, a significant amount of ability on behalf of people who can disrupt your business. And the first thing you have to understand is, when these things start becoming more and more public, you have to stay calm, because you can't do anything about it if you get freaked out and get worried and paranoid and everything else. The main thing to do is to look at it, see that it's occurring. Okay, now what? Then comes a different aspect. Is, how do you go about handling it? If it's not hitting you personally, how do you take part in it? Do you personally take part in protesting or what have you? Are you going to take a stand? Are you going to be as quiet as possible and hope that you're eaten last, type of thing? There's so many things to keep in mind, but the main idea is to keep calm during these tumultuous times. I'm not saying you shouldn't stand up for yourself when necessary. I'm not saying that you shouldn't take a stand one way or the other. All those things should happen, but it should happen from a calm state of mind. If you do that, I believe, and you're able to hold it, I believe that you'll eventually come to the best outcome possible for you and your family and anyone else involved in your business. So hopefully that kind of stirs a few things up. I'd love to hear your thoughts on a lot of this, not necessarily your political thoughts, but how you're handling these chaotic times that we're going through right now, and it appears to be going through more and more and more as time goes on. So leave a comment wherever you're watching or listening to this. You can always leave a comment at brianjpombo.com, and you can always pick up a copy of my book, 9 Ways to Amazon-Proof Your Business, if you really want to have a positive direction for your business instead of always being on defense. If you go on to offense and really have a direction with where you're going so that you don't get tangled up in all the drama of world politics, it's helpful. 9 Ways to Amazon-Proof Your Business. You can get a copy off of Amazon.com, or you can just download a digital copy at AmazonProofBook.com. You get it at brianjpombo.com, but AmazonProofBook.com will take you directly to the page. Okay, you have a great night. We'll be back tomorrow. In the meantime, get out there and let the magic happen.